Yo! What's happening? Yeah, let's get into things. Right. Welcome again to yet another episode of Chatty Boy, the sensational, wonderful, world-famous YouTube show, coming to you every goddamn Wednesday until the end of time, or until I get bored, which, judging by recent events, is going to be very fucking soon, but we won't go there. So this is episode 6. We are on August 22nd? 22nd. And today, I wanted to talk to you about one thing and one thing alone. Maybe two. We'll see how long I ramble about the first thing. So, this weekend, Saturday, the 26th of August, is Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Conor McGregor. One of the biggest sporting events in the past decade, possibly. Definitely one of the biggest combat sports events almost ever. So if you are completely unaware or don't have an internet connection or for some reason have not seen anything about what this fight is at all, which is at this point impossible because the hype behind it is beyond ridiculous. So we have Conor McGregor, mixed martial artist in the UFC, the lightweight champion, formerly the featherweight champion. Unofficially, I would still regard him as the featherweight champion. The first ever mixed martial artist in the UFC to win 2 titles in 2 different weight classes. Arguably one of the most successful mixed martial artists of all time. The 3rd ranked pound for pound fighter in the UFC, just behind Demetrius Johnson and John Jones. And an absolute moneymaker for the UFC. Seriously, Conor McGregor's rise to fame through mixed martial arts has been unreal. His success has not gone unnoticed by other combat sports, especially boxing. Now, there's always been this kind of competition between boxing and mixed martial arts. They've always kind of been at each other's throats. And this isn't actually the first time that these two worlds have met up. Way back when, I can't remember the exact year. It wasn't that far. It was in the past 5 years. 5 years ago? About 5 years ago. Might have been about 6 years ago. Boxing thought it could take on mixed martial arts. More specifically, the boxer James Toney thought he could walk into the UFC and walk out with a win. So, the UFC granted him his wishes. Allowed him into the octagon with one of the best heavyweights, coming towards the end of his career to be fair, but one of the best heavyweights in the UFC ever, Randy Couture. And what proceeded to happen within one round is a complete and utter humiliation of the boxing legend, James Toney. Randy Couture used his wrestling, got him to the ground, pounded his face a little bit and eventually choked him out. So, not the first time that these two sports have met, but they've never met the other way around. A mixed martial artist has never walked into the boxing ring to try and take on a boxer. Ultimately because the common consensus is that because of boxing's kind of one-dimensional nature, it is just stand-up, it is just striking with fists. The common consensus is that a mixed martial artist, because of their need to be savvy in multiple areas, cannot specialise in that one area of stand-up striking as much as a boxer could. So this is what makes this fight interesting. You've got one of the best mixed martial artists in Conor McGregor walking into the boxing ring to go against Floyd Mayweather Jr. Hands down, one of the greatest boxers to ever have lived. He has an absolutely perfect record, 49 wins, 0 losses. He's never lost a professional fight in his entire career. A career that began in 1996. So knowing what we know about these two fighters, what can we expect from this fight? Well, that's a tough one. A lot of people are discounting McGregor from the off. Understandably so. Mayweather is one of the best defensive boxers of all time. He hasn't lost. He knows how to pick apart opponents. He's got this freak boxing computer where he can just get your timing right and time his own strikes to completely pull apart any opponent he's ever met. But in Conor McGregor, you've got somebody who has absolutely destroyed everything we thought possible and we thought doable. He has managed to earn those 2 UFC belts in those different weight classes. Everything he has said he will do has pretty much come to fruition in one way or another. And as he has said before, every fight he has faced, people have been doubting him. He's always gone into those fights as sort of the underdog, with people following him into his fights saying that he's trying to pull off the impossible and will never be able to do it. And 99% of the time, he's managed to pull it off. So what has McGregor got going for him against Mayweather? Against somebody who, in the boxing world, is untouchable, who has proven himself invincible. What can McGregor do in this fight to win it? As the combat sports expert that I am, This is my kind of prediction as to what McGregor needs to do to win this fight. The minute that bell rings, I think McGregor's got about a 30% chance of winning the fight. As those seconds tick down, that percentage ticks down. I think he needs to close this fight out within the first 4-5 rounds. He needs to end it. That's the only way McGregor is going to win this. Give Floyd Mayweather 5 rounds. He's going to figure out McGregor, figure out his movements, figure out his timing, and box his face off until either A, it goes the full 12 rounds and Mayweather wins the decision, or B, McGregor gets busted up so much that they throw the towel in, or the ref comes in and stops it, declares it a TKO. I don't think Mayweather is going to knock out McGregor. I'd be surprised if that would happen. Now, what about the other way around? Could McGregor knock out Floyd within the first 4? Possibly. He has got a rocket of a left hand that we've seen before in the UFC destroy people, absolutely destroy them. People get hit with that left hand of his, and they lose their mind. Like, you can see it in the body language of the people he's fought. Take his latest fight with Eddie Alvarez to win the lightweight championship, for instance. When you see Eddie take that hit, take that left from Conor, that first left hand that drops him, his whole game plan changes. And I'm pretty sure Alvarez has said in interviews post that fight that his game plan changed when he felt that left hand. He was going to wrestle McGregor and kind of try and figure out how to beat him in the only way that he could. So yeah, that left hand. If he manages to land that left hand, will it drop Mayweather? Now there's a lot of factors in this fight. A lot. One of them is the fact that they've agreed upon 8-ounce gloves, which are lighter than what they were going to go for in the first place. MMA gloves are normally 4-ounce, but Mayweather has agreed to fight with 8-ounce gloves. That goes in McGregor's favour. That puts a lot of power behind that left of his. Does he land it though? Does he land that punch? Can he land that punch? Is there a way that he can land it? Now, there has been a lot of talk about whether or not he can land that punch, whether or not he'll even be able to get close to Mayweather because of Mayweather's experience inside the boxing ring. Until about 2 weeks ago, everybody, was doubtful of it. And then Dana White, president of the UFC, obviously backing McGregor to win this fight, helping promote the fight as well. He dropped a video of a sparring session between Conor McGregor and the ex-welterweight champion, Paulie Malignaggi. Paulie Malignaggi. Fucking name. Ridiculous. Anyway, Paulie, we'll call him Paulie. I'm not saying his surname again. Paulie is 2 times welterweight champion and agreed to spar with McGregor. Gave McGregor shit as well. Said a lot of things about McGregor and his style and how he's not going to last in the ring. So Dana White dropped this clip of Paulie and McGregor sparring. Now, before this, a photo came out of Paulie on the mat, over during this sparring session, McGregor standing over him. Paulie claimed it was a push, that it was a push down, that it was a slip, that McGregor cheated in a way and pushed him to the floor. But then these videos came out and showed that actually McGregor cracked him hard, and it was a knockdown. Now, admittedly, these were 2 10-second clips. One of McGregor actually landing that straight left on Paulie, and it looking like one of the worst hits I've ever seen. Let's go. And then obviously the second clip of Paulie getting knocked down. So, Paulie, a retired welterweight champion, yes, but a boxing champion nonetheless, that McGregor at some point in that sparring session landed on and hurt. It kind of brings into question that idea of him not being able to land it, which he clearly can against someone like Paulie Malignaggi, but can he do it against Mayweather? Now, I think one of the biggest keys for McGregor's victory in this is, obviously, like I said before, within that first 4 or 5 rounds, he has to finish it. And I think one of the only ways he's going to finish it is by pushing the rules of boxing as far as he can towards MMA. So whether that be get up close and personal, get dirty, try grabbing the back of his head maybe, really get in Mayweather's face, really bully him. Like, McGregor can't give Mayweather the space or the distance that he normally fights from to figure out his movements. So McGregor's style is normally kind of a step-back approach to his fights. He hangs on, he waits, he counter-punches, he's got perfect timing, and he unleashes these combos at just the right time when the opponent doesn't expect it, and it completely obliterates them. I don't think he can do this with Mayweather. He needs to get in, and he needs to, like I said, bend the rules of boxing towards MMA as much as possible. He needs to get rough and ready. He needs to be up in his face. He can't give Mayweather that space to figure him out, because Mayweather will figure him out. He's done it to every opponent in the past. And that's really what makes this fight more interesting than what people are giving it credit for. There seems to be a lot of people in either corner of these two fighters saying that either Conor will steamroll Floyd, or Floyd will completely destroy Conor. There's no one like down the middle. I don't think a lot of people realise how nuanced this may be, that McGregor does have more of a chance than people are allowing him, and that Floyd is technically retired. He is out of the game. He is much older. He's much smaller. There is a big chance that Conor could win this. But after the 5th, I do think that it will be Floyd's fight. So, that being said, me rambling again for minutes upon minutes of your life, what is my prediction to this? Who will win this fight? Who do I think? If I was a betting man, who would I put my money on? And I am a betting man. I'm not putting money on this fight, though. Fucking no way. Stupid bet. Don't put money on this fight. So my prediction is Floyd Mayweather decision after 12 rounds. I think that's the way it's going to go. I genuinely think that is the way it's going to go. But that's not to disparage what Conor can do. I want Conor to win. I want Conor to win in the name of MMA, because I think that sport is due a lot more credit than it receives. But at the same time, he's going in there against somebody who has never been defeated in the sport professionally and has a lot more experience. He has almost as much experience in the boxing ring as Conor does, like, being alive. After this fight, Mayweather would have been boxing professionally for 22 years. McGregor's 29. I'm sorry, but I think the experience of Mayweather will overcome whatever McGregor's going to throw at him. I think it will be closer than a lot of people think it will be. But yeah, if I was going to put my life on it, yeah, if I had a gun to my head and I had to get a prediction right, I'd have to go for Mayweather. It just makes the most sense. Given the sport, given the experience, McGregor's the underdog in this one. The path to victory for McGregor is a lot harder than it is for Mayweather. McGregor is on borrowed time in the ring when he steps in there with Mayweather. I truly believe he's on borrowed time with him. He's got 4-5 rounds. So that's it. My assessment of this fight, my pre-assessment of this fight. I'll try and have a reaction for it afterwards. But yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting for the sport. It's exciting for both sports. On a more personal note for me, I think it's inspiring to see what McGregor has achieved. A lot of people tout him as a dickhead and a bit of a loudmouth, bit of a cunt, to be honest. But I do find him inspiring. I do find what he has achieved inspiring. He said in interviews before that in the past 5 years, he's come from nothing, from being on social welfare in Ireland, to now walking into a fight this weekend that is going to earn him $100 million. He's literally come from nothing in 5 years, and he's managed to achieve more than most professional athletes do in a career, which is astonishing and inspiring. And regardless of how this fight pans out, it's a win-win for McGregor either way. One, because he's walking out of there with a ton of money no matter what. Two, if he wins, he's one of the biggest fighters, if not one of the biggest athletes in the world. And three, if he loses, this isn't his sport. You know, he's not fighting in his sport. He's having a crack at boxing, which does bear resemblance to MMA, admittedly, but it's not his sport. It's like a rugby player having a crack at, like, American football. They're very similar, but the transference is difficult. So if he does lose this fight, you already know what his reaction is going to be. It's like, hey, this isn't my sport. I stepped in the ring. You come and step in the octagon. That's something he can spin better than most. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm genuinely excited for it. So yeah, that's it. I'm done. This chatty boy is now a sweaty boy. I hope you like my little pre-assessment of what's happening with this McGregor-Mayweather fight. It might have been nonsense. I'll find out when I edit it. And let me know what you think in the comments down below, or over on Twitter, @DarylDoes. Let me know what you think is going to happen in this fight. Do you think it is going to be a bit more black and white than I do? I think it's going to be a little bit more grey, a little bit more nuance, a little bit more down the middle. That's it from me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being you. And until next time.